Let me explain why all of these made-up sexual terms suddenly appeared. It has nothing to do with actual sexuality. It has to do with, look at me, I have no talent, no skill, nothing that makes me stand out, but I want attention so badly. I know, now I'm a made-up pronoun sexual. I'm a minority now. No, you have a mental disorder that requires treatment, not stupid videos on TikTok telling the world some word you made up. My pronouns are. No one cares. This is also why they're losing their minds about Florida's new law, because they won't be able to tell your kids about their private life. It bothers them because kids are generally the only ones who would care. Does anyone know why the loony left is trying to normalize mental illness? Would a sane person vote Democrat in the 21st century? What most of these people have, and not the trans people actually have gender dysphoria. I'm talking about the pronoun-making attention seekers, who just add some made-up prefix to the word sexual. They're attention seekers, and they have a real mental illness. I personally believe sites such as TikTok have only intensified this in some people. Histrionic personality disorder and BPD. Histrionic personality disorder, HPD, is a personality disorder that tends to co-occur with other personality disorders, particularly borderline personality disorder, BPD, narcissistic, and dependent personality disorders. There is a great deal of overlap between BPD and HPD features, so much so that some experts believe that HPD may not actually be distinguishable from BPD. Understanding histrionic personality disorder. HPD is one of 10 personality disorders recognized in the 5th edition of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, DSM-5. It should also be noted that gender dysphoria is also recognized in DSM-5. HPD is one of the cluster B disorders, which are characterized as dramatic, overly emotional, and/or erratic. The DSM-5 defines histrionic personality disorder as a pattern of extreme emotionality and attention-seeking behavior that begins by early adulthood and is obvious in different situations. In addition, you must have 5 or more of the following signs or symptoms to be diagnosed with HPD. Discomfort in situations in which you're not the center of attention. Interaction with others that's often characterized by inappropriate sexually seductive or provocative behavior. Rapidly shifting and shallow expression of emotion. Consistently uses physical appearance to draw attention to self. Style of speech that is excessively impressionistic and lacking in detail. Shows self-dramatization, theatricality, and exaggerated expression of emotion. Is easily influenced by others or by circumstances. Considers relationships to be more intimate than they actually are. People with HPD might be described as being overly dramatic, emotional, or attention-seeking. This pattern of behavior rises to the level of a clinical disorder when it significantly interferes with relationships, work, or other important domains in life. Co-occurrence of HPD and BPD. There are only a few studies that have examined the co-occurrence of HPD and BPD. One often quoted study found that HPD frequently occurs with BPD. In another study that used a community sample, about 10% of people with BPD also met criteria for HPD. HPD versus BPD. There is a marked overlap between the symptoms of HPD and BPD. For example, both share the features of rapidly shifting and reactive emotions, both are associated with impulsive behavior, and both are characterized by a very strong expression of emotion. While some clinicians argue that the qualities of these symptoms are different in HPD versus BPD, for example, that the rapidly shifting emotions in HPD are not experienced with the same depth and intensity as those in BPD, other experts have argued that HPD and BPD are not necessarily distinct disorders. However, despite predictions that the HPD diagnosis would be dropped in DSM-5, it was not, and so it remains its own specific and unique diagnosis. Treatment. While there is some advice for clinicians treating HPD, it's generally based on expert opinion or experiences rather than on research data. Much more research is needed on this topic, but in general, psychotherapy is often used and may be helpful. If you have symptoms of other issues such as depression or anxiety, medication may help to alleviate those symptoms as well.